Panthers. It's After Hours with Amy Lawrence here on CBS Sports Radio. We're going to get back to your calls, your tweets at A-Law Radio. But let's welcome Chad Brown, former Patriots, Seahawks, and Steelers linebacker who was on the field covering the game in Denver for 9 News. So the Broncos come up with that big defensive play again down the stretch. Is there extra pressure on that Denver defense, Chad? Because typically that unit's been called on to make big plays and keep the team in games.
Well, for the Denver Broncos defense, this is what they've done all season long. And they've made these incredible plays at critical moments, typically late in the ball game, which gives the Broncos the win. And the defense stepped up again this week. All season long, Peyton Manning has been not the Peyton Manning that we remember from a couple of years ago. Even when Brock Osweiler came in, the offense had a little bit of a jump, but then kind of continue with its very mediocre ways. So I think Gary Kubiak and John Elway and all those folks over there at Dove Valley recognize, and also the guys on that defensive side of the ball recognize that if they're going to win games, particularly now in the postseason, it's going to take a play or two from that defense. And that was the biggest play of the game. Peyton Manning had no turnovers, and the Broncos defense was able to force a critical turnover late in the game, and which helped them get the win.
You're right. It's been that way all year, which is pretty impressive because every time the defense has needed to come up with some type of a game-turning, momentum-changing play, it definitely has. So you mentioned Peyton Manning. He's like a Tiger Woods or a Michael Jordan or any other player who is at the very highest echelon of his sport in which he's a victim of his own success. You're right. He's not playing the 5-time MVP type of football that we have seen from him. But yesterday, as you mentioned, no turnovers. There were a lot of drops. The run game wasn't productive as usual. There was, a couple letdowns by the O-line. But from Peyton specifically, what did you see that worked for the team?
What I saw was no turnovers. So his 17 interceptions, earlier in the season, they were very lucky to win a number of those games, with him throwing those interceptions. I think Peyton was still trying to recapture the Peyton of old. And, mentally thinking this is a throw I can make and not realizing physically, no, this is a throw you can no longer make. And I think the time off, the time on the sideline, watching Brock Osweiler, and one of the best things that Brock did when Brock went into the game was Brock understood that, hey, this is my first year starting. I'm not truly a rookie, but I'm kind of like a rookie because I've been backing up Peyton for so long. My job is not to go out there and sling the ball around, throw 40 times a game, and try to score 35 points. My job is to be a safe keeper of the football. And I think now, based on this last week's performance, that Peyton finally understands that if he does that, that actually gives the Broncos the best chance to win and the best chance for success, instead of thinking, I've got to put this whole thing on my back and I've got to throw for 400 yards and put 35 points on the scoreboard.
And that's it, huh? That's all he did well?
That's really all. His best pass of the day was on essentially a self-sack where he tried to go down to avoid the hit, realized he wasn't touched, scrambled up and threw the ball downfield. So the biggest pass play of the game was a broken play that should have been whistled dead. Other than that, I don't think he threw the ball more than 12 yards down the field. The receiver caught it and gained 6 more yards. It was a long of 18 yards. But it's going to be very interesting this week playing the Patriots. And Bill Belichick obviously has Peyton's number a number of times. It's going to be really interesting